So a really cool technique which has been inspiring me recently is grabbing any sort of visual footage and producing a track with it actually in the DAW with you. So today I thought we'd experiment with this and have a little bit of fun, but before I do, if you're looking for any free music production resources, go check out that free downloads link below. Alright, so what I've done here is actually just got some public domain footage, some old school like vintage footage that has no copyright, and I've just dragged it straight into Ableton here. And because Ableton has video capability, you can actually view and watch the video in Ableton as well as use all the editing functions as well. I think using public domain footage as well is the best way to go here, because once you actually have the track built around the footage, then you can use the footage as a promo for your track if you ever release it anyway. So there is cool benefits to this technique that's not just getting the inspiration. But what I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to choose a section of this video and just loop it, and then just sort of collapse this video and just like have it maybe in the corner here somewhere, and then just start producing a track whilst looking at this video and just get some inspiration from the video to make certain decisions. So let's sort of just scroll through this video and have a look. We got a tree falling, got some logs on a truck. I guess, yeah, makes sense. We got a house being built, a landscape. So I guess that's pretty cool. Like you could do something like this and just loop that over, right? But let's keep looking anyway. Oh, we got some water. That's pretty cool. Some rushing water. That's nice. What else? A dam. A desert. That's pretty cool as well. So this is kind of a cool one. I could see myself using this. That would go one way with the track. And then if I use the water over here as well, it'll be interesting. I think I'm going to go with this water rushing section and just see where it stops, and then just like loop it from there. Maybe I can delete this section and go over to my loop over here and just drag it over here. So I'm looking at this video and trying to sort of like categorize some techniques that I could use as inspiration from this. And I'm thinking maybe like it's quite chaotic and random. Maybe I could do some sort of generative random stuff in there. It's quite natural as well. So I don't know. Let's sort of have a play around and see how it goes. I might just collapse this and sort of like put it in the corner. Maybe let's try and start with a sample and build from there. I'm just going to type in splash into my search bar. Oh, we got some synths here. That could work. Nice. We could do something like this. I'm just going to warp it out a bit to make it a little bit. Perfect. Done. That's perfect. I think I'm just going to sort of play around here. Maybe even pitch it down a bit. This is the power of echo, right? When you put this echo in here. Maybe take some low end out as well. So far, so good. So I think the running water is kind of making me want to just automate a whole bunch of stuff by hand, because I want things to be natural, right? So if I just hit record here, I can just sort of experiment with this. And then just duplicate this over. I think I might just record again this second one here. That's kind of cool. I also want to get some white noise as well. I think this would be nice for this context. White noise, brace yourself. Oh, there we go. And I'm going to just sort of filter this off first. So take the low end out and bring it down. And maybe an auto filter sort of just moving around somewhat randomly, right? So I'm just going to put the LFO on this filter amount up and sort of just play around with this rate, maybe put a little bit of resonance. So this filter is just going to be moving around kind of randomly, which is sort of capturing the essence of this. Which is nice. I think I want some delay on there as well, which is just going to make it a bit more stereo and sort of bouncing around a bit. Cool. And maybe I could even grab one of these erosions like I have on here. Maybe this one, and just put it here. So far, so good. Let's just get a beat in. And the one thing I did prepare for this track is a kick sample and a hi-hat sample. They're pretty just sort of stock standard things. Let's just have a listen. Oh, that's my kick. I've just got like a sort of snappy hi-hat. And so I think with this inspiration here, I might just like sort of record stuff in by hand as opposed to programming it and just sort of see what rhythms come out. I want it to be kind of somewhat free form of a rhythm, but let's just see what happens. I'm just going to turn the metronome on and then just try and feel out a rhythm. Okay, I think I like sort of this rhythm at the end was kind of cool. Maybe something like this. I kind of like that. I'm just going to duplicate this over. I think with the hi-hats, I'm just going to put in some 16th notes and then just sort of randomize the velocity a bit. So something like this. And then with the velocity, just sort of bring them down and then add a whole bunch of random velocity range. Maybe just shorten it a bit as well. Maybe move some of these around a little bit just to give it a little bit more, just maybe a bit of an up-down feel, right? That'll give it a bit more groove. I guess. Bit of saturation on the drum bus as well. I'm going to turn down this output and then just boost the input. Yeah. Maybe some erosion on the drum bus as well. Erosion. So going with the theme, with the bass, I think I want something sort of a little bit controlled random. Maybe I will just bring up the level of this second operator here. I'm also going to bring up the sustain of this. So instead of a sine wave, we have this sort of sound. So that's our note. I think I'm just going to automate this filter frequency to move around a little bit. And I'm going to record these synth movements into this audio track here. So if I just hit the record button here and go to in, and I'm also just going to turn off the automation arm here. I can even turn this off as well. I can hit play and then sort of just experiment around with this knob, and it's just going to record it in audio. So let's hit record. So let's have a listen to this. Maybe sort of boost some of these harmonics here. I think I'm also just going to sidechain this to the kick drum as well. So what I'm going to do in this case is just grab an LFO tool. This is how I like to do my sidechains, and then just turn it onto the note retrig mode. Mine's a little bit buggy, so I've clicked it onto the envelope mode. Here it is. And then I'm just going to go to my kick drum, and I've already got an external instrument, and just route that over there. So now when the kick drum plays, it's just going to trigger this like an envelope. Right? So I can listen to this now. And just maybe the smooth. Right? Sounds pretty cool. So far so good. I think I want to make something else just a little bit more generative as well, and sort of just, maybe I could have some sort of melodic element as well. So I'm just going to go grab another synthesizer. Maybe we could use Wavetable this time. And I'm just going to input a bunch of notes. Yep. Maybe something like this, and then I can just Shift Command U, quantize them onto the grid. I can mess around with the timing a little bit later and find a nice groove. But for now, I think I'm just going to use a technique called velocity mapping, which I've covered in a video before, which I'll link at the top. And so that just requires me to get a MIDI velocity device. And I'm actually going to get this one called Total Random. And so just completely randomize the velocity on this thing. And then I'm going to map the velocity to a few different functions. So right now it's mapped to the amp. I'm just going to turn that off. And then so to get the idea of what this is doing, it's completely randomizing the velocity. So if I was to map it to the pitch, it would change the pitch of every note. Right? So I can also do this to stuff like oscillator position and like oscillator warp. And so it's going to just randomize each one and sort of change the texture each time. So maybe I could just put a few of these onto different sort of And maybe I can map the velocity to this as well. And I also want to map the velocity to this filter frequency. Put the resonance up a bit and maybe put this filter frequency onto a bandpass. And so this is kind of randomized now. I want to also maybe randomize the release as well. I think that'd be cool because then it will allow some of the notes to ring out a little bit longer than others. So I'm just going to do this a little bit. Maybe a little bit less than that. You can turn on some unison as well. And now with some processing, I've made this rack that's like a filtered modulation rack, and I am just going to sort of tweak this around. It's just some filtered reverb that's sort of moving around. Maybe I'll just put this onto a high pass. So this one is just a auto filter that's running into a reverb. So that way when this bandpass filter goes down to like the low frequencies, you won't hear any reverb on there. So maybe I could look for a rhythm now, and I'm just going to sort of expand this and have this here while I make the rhythm. So this is kind of the kick pattern here. Okay, cool. So I've just mimicked the kick pattern with this thing. And I think what I'm going to do though is I've got these gaps every second bar. I'm just going to duplicate this track here and then make some sort of response or some sort of little different melody in here that's going to be randomized as well. So first things first, let's group these and color them something a little bit different, maybe purple. And then I am going to make another MIDI clip here and experiment around with a few notes here. So the note that I'm looking for is this one. So maybe I could go up a note here, and maybe down in the scale here, and maybe even up the octave here. So something like this, and what I'm going to do is actually just grab all of these notes here and pull up the chance sliders here. And then I'm going to drag the chance of these down so that not all of them are going to play, and they're going to play in sort of random variations. And so that way it's going to be different each time. And if I just duplicate this over, we can have a listen and see how it goes. I also want to change the tone of this to be slightly different as well. So maybe I could just go back to my basic shapes and you can detune this one. Okay, so I think I want to go to this one and just put this second oscillator like down an octave. So now we're starting to make a few differences. Let's have a look. Maybe. So now we've got this rhythm that's sort of calling and responding, but it's sort of randomized as well. So let's have a listen. Bring in some other elements as well. So a pretty cool technique that's yielded some very interesting results and sort of forced me to think in some slightly different ways and use some techniques which I haven't used in a while. So if this is inspiring for you, I really recommend you try it out. This isn't the only way that you can use this technique as well. So you could probably do some sort of sound design session to a technique like this as well, and then use that sound design just in a normal track the way that you'd produce it normally. Shout out to Trez Parsings on Instagram who put me onto this technique as well. He's got some awesome audio visual stuff on his Instagram. But otherwise, if you've enjoyed the video today, remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.